Hey everybody, I'm the Ranting Monkey, and today we're going to be talking about personal responsibility and a bunch of fucking hypocrisy. I'll warn you now, this video is going to be covering some YouTube drama, but I hope you stick around because there is a broader, more important point. Social justice warriors, liberals, the radical left, whatever the fuck you want to call them, they are playing dirty as fuck. First, a brief history for those of you who aren't aware. About a year and a half ago, Bering burst onto the YouTube scene. With his combination of insightful commentary and funny insults to both person and idea, his channel grew really quickly. This upset the people I refer to as Christie's crew. Christy Winters, Christiosity, Kevin Logan, Little Timmy Blake, and a few others. Bering was declared SJW enemy number 1, knocking Saga onto the number 2 spot. Instead of debating Bering on his arguments, Christie's crew feigned offense at Bering responding to smaller content creators. They claimed he was punching down, harassing feminists, and sending his audience to dogpile the targets of his videos. It didn't matter to these mental midgets that the only time Bering ever told his audience to go anywhere was to boost creators he liked. They had their narrative. Bering was responsible for his audience's misdeeds, which was little more than a few people trolling. Frustrated by their failed attempts to reduce Bering's influence by labeling him the ringleader of some bully hit squad, in late November of 2016, they tried a new tactic. Bering originally used artwork that was derivative of a bear on Total Drama Island. We know at least one of Christie's crew, Danny Kortz, was involved in reporting Bering to the makers of the cartoon series. At the time, a few anti-SJWs like Tildeer and Shoe on Head were adamant that it didn't matter who did it. Bering was in the wrong. My point was that it showed Christie's crew was starting to play very dirty. None of them gave a damn about copyright infringement. They just found what they thought was a means to shut Bering down. And it worked for a few days. But Bering was in contact with the makers of the show and he was able to recover his channel. Almost immediately on his return, Bering was doxxed. While there is some debate over who exactly was behind the dox, we do know without question that Christy Winters was posting the link to the site with Bering's information. We also know she made videos telling everyone where to find that information. She dressed it up as her defending herself over doxing allegations, but it had the effect of letting anybody who missed it see Bering's personal information. She didn't make any videos condemning her audience for any involvement they might have had in the doxing. Bering went on a live stream with Philip Moriarty and they had a rather heated exchange. Very soon thereafter, Moriarty shut down his channel claiming a Bering fan sent him an email threatening his children. To my knowledge, this email was never made public, nor was a police report showing that this had been turned into the proper authorities. Other than a little bit of whiny bullshit from people like Tim Blake on Twitter, this mostly quieted down. Until just over a week ago. To prove a point about what a closed-minded, hateful dick Steve Shives is, Bering trolled him pretty hard and for a laugh got him to say, "I love me some chicks with dicks." A smaller YouTuber by the name of Woolly Bumblebee made a response where she insulted Bering and his audience. She also drug up the now settled Total Drama Island copyright issue, calling Bering a thief. He responded explaining why he trolled Shives, and brought up a fundraising campaign Woolly had been involved in for a men's abuse shelter. Woolly never opened a men's shelter and gave the money to another charity. But some of the people who gave money are not happy with that result. They gave money to a specific cause and want their money back. Unlike the Bering Total Drama Island situation, Woolly's issue is not settled for all involved parties. Normally I would link you all of the videos that are related to this, but I can't do that in this case because Woolly Bumblebee shut down her channel. Why? Well, if you've been paying attention, you can probably guess. She claims to have received emails threatening her children. Unlike Philip Moriarty, she did post the alleged threatening emails online. You can see part of it on her blog. She redacted identifying information about herself, but also the email address of the person who sent it. For some reason, she is protecting them. She claims to have filed a complaint with the police, but when asked for a copy of the police report, she became profane and refused. Coincidentally, Christie's crew is all over this. Christie herself replied to Woolly's blog. Little Timmy Blake shared a screenshot of it on Twitter declaring Bering has no better nature, despite Bering offering to help to find out who did this in any way that he could. While I will link her blog below, the comments are no longer visible. I'm not asking you to just believe me, I'm asking Woolly to open them back up so everybody can see what's actually happened. But I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm just going to come out and say it. I do not believe this came from a Bering fan. If this is an actual email Woolly received, I do not believe it came from a fan of Bering. I believe this is just the latest tactics of Christie's crew. And this is why you should care. This is not the first time we've seen this kind of tactic from SJWs. In my TYT video, I brought up the case at Keene University, which apparently I mispronounced. It's Kane, not Keene. In that case, a Black Lives Matter supporter at a BLM rally left that rally, went to the school library, and tweeted out threats of violence against blacks. Before people knew she was involved, this made national headlines. It was proof of how racist America still is. When the truth did come out, it didn't get near the same attention. Of course it didn't. The narrative was already served. That's not the only case like this. We've seen a fairly steady stream of bullshit threats of violence or actual accusations of violence by SJWs that made major headlines only to find out they were made up or perpetrated by the victims themselves. A woman had her hijab ripped off by a Trump supporter. Whoops, she lied. A church was set on fire by a Trump supporter. Whoops, it was a member of the church. A Jewish college student claimed someone was writing anti-Semitic slurs on a whiteboard she kept on the outside of her dorm room door. Whoops, the FBI caught her doing it herself. And in each of these cases, the truth gets far less attention than the original lie. The media is pushing a narrative that anyone they declare right-wing is violent, even when the truth shows the people they listen and believe are just a bunch of goddamn liars. Meanwhile, when we see violence like we did at UC Berkeley, well, that's okay because the person who was going to speak is one of those violent right-wingers. It's actually Milo's fault for daring to bring his hateful rhetoric to such an open-minded place. The social justice warriors are never to blame. They have no personal responsibility, while anyone seen as right-wing is not only responsible for the alleged violence of their audience, but for the actual violence of the other side. It's fucking retarded. What's happened with Bering is very similar to what we've seen happen with Milo Yiannopoulos, just on a much smaller scale. He's been demonized. He's responsible for what other people do. He's very mean and he causes people to be hateful. This isn't drama. This is a very serious subject that needs to be discussed. Bering is supposed to come out and denounce everything his fans are accused of doing. Christie's crew doesn't hold themselves to that standard. A few of them made obligatory anti-doxing statements when Bering got doxed. None of them took responsibility for their words possibly inspiring the doxing. Anti-SJWs and anti-feminists are responsible for everything. SJWs are Christ-like in their innocence. I'll go so far as to state that if it does come out that this was somebody from Christy Winter's side who sent this threat to Woolly Bumblebee, the reaction will be, it was the wrong thing done for the right reason. There will be no real condemnation of it. Is it possible that a Bering fan sent that email? Absolutely. But it is just as possible, and in my opinion far more likely, that it came from the other side. When Bering's channel was shut down over the copyright strike, to me the important point was how dirty Christie's crew was willing to play. They did not give one shit about copyright. One of Christie's inner circle was using a copyrighted image with no changes to it. They did that to silence Bering. We saw their next move with doxing. And now we're expected to believe they are getting death threats aimed at their children? If the threats are real, prove it. Show the police reports. Until then, I will regard this as more of the dirty, manipulative, hypocritical shit you cunts have repeatedly pulled. Finally, about audience reaction. As my disclaimer says, I do not support harassment, but harassment is a very ambiguous term, which is why my disclaimer also says you are responsible for your actions. I am no more responsible if one of my viewers tells somebody to kill themselves than if they tell somebody how much they like their hair. Unless the creator is calling for direct action, whether it's Bering or Christy Winter showing far more cleavage than somebody with breasts that saggy should be, they are not responsible for the actions of their viewers. And it is fucking moronic, bordering on clinically retarded, to suggest otherwise. And that's going to wrap up this one. If you enjoy what I do here, please consider supporting this channel through a Patreon donation or with a purchase from the Monkey Shop. You can also show your support by sharing these videos. As of right now, I don't have a live stream schedule, but if you see a stream up, please come by and say hi. We have a lot of fun with those, and I think you'll enjoy them. You can find out when those are happening by following me on Twitter at the link below. Thank you guys for watching. I'm the Ranting Monkey, and I will see you next time. Your life makes me sad.